Guess what I read? Beach read. Oh my god. I'm so tired. I read People We Meet on Vacation. I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Everyone knows her because she wrote Beach Read that I haven't read yet, but I've heard wonderful things about. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, though this is not my favorite rom-com. I will explain. For the non-spoiler people who don't know what this is about two best friends, Alex and Poppy. They meet in college, and after they graduate, they're like best friends, and then they decide to go on a summer trip every single summer. Poppy is really good at like traveling on the cheap, and she does a little blog about it. And then we find out that something happens on one of these trips. Something went down in Croatia. And now that they're separated in New York City, he's still home in Ohio where they both grew up. They never run into each other, and then they haven't made an effort to talk in 2 years since this incident. Poppy's writing for this like very famous newspaper in New York. They send her all over the world to write about traveling and stuff like that. It's everything like she's ever wanted, basically. She has all these little, like, I don't want to say quirks, but they're kind of quirks. She's very like go with the flow. Alex is very like rigid. So you can see how opposites attract in this book. But so Poppy decides that she's in like a rut, like she doesn't feel fulfilled anymore, and she's talking to her like one of her close friends who I love. And her friend is like, well, can you think of the time you were last happy? And she realizes it was the last time she was hanging out with Alex. So she tries to get her work to send her on a trip to Alex's brother's wedding, and it doesn't get approved. So she's like, I'm going on vacation. And she tells Alex that it's like still her work trip so that he doesn't freak out. She's like, how about we extend the vacation to a little bit before the wedding and hang out like we used to? And Alex agrees. Now she feels like she has like a week with him to fix their friendship. You can see how this goes, right? We have read this formula many a time. It was still very, like, it was fun. I had a great time. But it definitely follows the formula. If you have not read this, you need to leave. I'm going to get into some of my spoilery thoughts, so goodbye to you if you have not read this book. So, I really enjoyed this, and I want to put that as a base layer because I was so frustrated like most of this book. Like 90% of the book I was frustrated, and it's because, okay, so we bounce back and forth between all their summers of vacations, and we kind of get to see how their friendship bloomed their first year of college, which was so fun because they met and they were like, wow, I'm never gonna speak to this person again. And when they had their drive home and Poppy was like, I'm sorry, I can't play music in here. Great, it was fantastic. Her description of seeing him in khakis on the first night was like top notch. Like yeah, that was hilarious. We can tell that they are literally the exact opposite people. But what bothered me is that once they become friends, it is so obvious that they're in love with each other that I have no idea how they missed it. And Poppy didn't really miss it. The entire time she's like, oh yeah, there's that 5% of like, what if? No freaking kidding. And it's not like Alex didn't reciprocate anytime they were like sharing their feelings. Like they literally say all the time how much they love each other, like how they're always gonna be there for each other. I was like, you don't take vacations with this dude that you're just friends with and never invite other people. I feel like that was maybe what tipped me off the most. I was like, they literally try to keep it for just them. They don't want to bring anyone else with them. Like even their significant others, the one time they did that, they were like, is this a good idea? And it's because when they bring other people in, they're third wheeling because these two are so obviously a couple. I love the opening scene when we didn't know that they were friends yet and they're in the bar and Poppy walks up and she's like, hey Tiger. I was like, Miss Ma'am. And then Alex is just reading on his phone. I was like, leave him alone if he's not gonna talk to you. And then I realized they were like BFFs and I was like, oh. So they've had all these summer vacations and we go through those and I really enjoyed seeing how they have their little like inside jokes. I love seeing them dance in New Orleans. Like all of it was very exciting, except it took us so long to get to freaking Croatia, where I felt like it wasn't that big of a deal. They were both drunk with that old dude, and then like Alex came to her hotel room because the old dude thought that he and Alex were gonna be roommates, and he sneaks in and they're like laughing about it or whatever, and they kiss, and I was like, y'all have like a decade of history. Like, I just don't understand how they let like one kiss ruin their friendship the way they did. Probably because both of them were like, I am in love with you, and then freaked out because they're both so worried about destroying their friendship. And then like once Poppy finally convinces Alex to do this vacation before the wedding, they come in and there's only like the one bed, and I was like, one bed trope. And then Poppy's like, I'll take the chair recliner, and then Alex takes it instead. Oh, and he woke up. He's like in such good shape, but then when he woke up and he like pulled us back, I was like, oh no, we're never gonna leave here. Okay, like that's fine. We'll be stuck in a hotel room that has no air conditioning. I did feel really bad for Poppy about that because like they got into this room and everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. She felt like if just too many things went wrong, Alex was gonna leave her forever, which I can understand her panic with that. But at the same time, I was just frustrated with her, I guess, for not, like, I think it's because we're following her that I was frustrated with her, because I was like, you should just talk to him. Like, he's clearly in love with you. I had that girlfriend. I hated that. I hated it. Sarah Troval or whatever, the on again, off again thing. I was like, this is so no. And I mean, I feel like it worked so well with Alex's character to have that type of relationship. But especially because like he was trying to find someone to fit in the world, like in the life that he wanted, because Poppy wasn't going to. Like, Poppy's always been like jet setting around and like enjoying like traveling and stuff, and he like really wanted like a settle down type of vibe. And so he was trying so hard with this girl Sarah, and I did not like her. She was so annoying. When we read about that one vacation where they all went together, ugh. Yeah, I felt just as like annoyed as Poppy did. They did mention The Bachelor, and I was like, okay, good. Me and Poppy watched the same TV show. How dare she? How dare she first say that people only go on there for like selfish reasons, and then be like, Poppy should go on. I know that's not what she meant, but I was like, I do not like you. I loved when Poppy was looking at Alex's Tinder profile. That was hilarious, because she was like, this is the worst profile I've ever read. But then it got all charged because she's like, I would swipe right on you. And he was like, well, I would swipe right on you too. And I was like, kiss. But they didn't. It took so long for us to get there. Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy this as much as other like romancy reads, because it took so long for them to finally get together. And of course, oh my gosh, when we went back, okay, first of all, the fact that she has him as Alexander the Greatest in her phone, I love. And then when she got sick that one time, they were gonna go to like Norway, and he came and took care of her. That was adorable. I felt so bad for her. Like, she had pneumonia and she couldn't even move. I was like, oh my gosh, Poppy's gonna die in here. And Alex thought that Poppy was gonna die. When he was taking care of her, they were all like snuggling. Okay, they had that moment and they couldn't handle a kiss in Croatia. I don't know why I'm like so stuck on this. I loved meeting the Nilsson fam. That was exciting. I felt so, I was crying when Alex kind of realized that one of the reasons he didn't want to be with Poppy was because his mom died, and seeing his dad go through that, and like then Alex basically having to act like the dad for his siblings. Like when we kind of made that connection, I was truly unwell. And when they're at the wedding, after they got together, they were like all happy and stuff like that. And then, we found out at that, like, the bachelor party that Alex had bought a ring for Sarah. And honestly, that ring was for Poppy. He described it and like said like how he bought it from a vintage store. I was like, that was for Poppy. Like, he was just trying to have Poppy be Sarah, or the other way around. And so like I forgave that quicker than Poppy did. Understandable, I'm not her, but you know, whatever. And he kind of like finally admits like he's been in love with her for 10 years, which she's been in love with him. And like the whole time he was just like struggling to get over her, because she was like, tell me like I'm not the reason you and Sarah broke up. And Sarah basically told her later, when Poppy ran into the school to try to find Alex, that like, yeah, like you were a big part of us breaking up, obviously. Like, it's so obvious he's in love with her. When she explains that like she needed a vacation from her life, and then Alex felt like he was a vacation from her life. Like, she just wanted to be around him and like be all cutesy and romantic and then go back to her real life. How do you read it so wrong? How do you read it so wrong? She said her friend told her to figure out when she was last happy. Did he not hear that? I was so, like, at that point I was frustrated with Alex. Before that, I related to Alex heavily. That when he said, he's like, no, I don't need to shower, I just need a rinse off shower. I was like, somebody else does it. Someone else does it. I like to be clean. I've had to explain that concept to so many people. We're getting sidetracked, okay. I just didn't know how he could get the sentiment of that message mixed up so badly. And then they just went back to their regular lives, and Poppy eventually quit because she was so unhappy in her life, and then she goes back to talk to Alex. When they finally got back together, I was like, y'all couldn't figure this out like 10 years ago? It's fine. I guess if they had figured it out 10 years ago, we wouldn't have had all the fun, tension-y vacations. But still, I'm very glad they finally got together. It took until like the last couple of pages, and then them touring New York, even though she lives there, and them acting like tourists, was very cute. Highly appreciated. I would give this like a 7 out of 10. It obviously was like the friends to lovers trope, and it was, which isn't like my favorite. I'm more of an enemies to lovers type of gal, as apparently all of us are, according to TikTok. Cough, ACOTAR, cough. Which trip was your favorite? I loved hearing about New Orleans. That one was really fun. I just loved seeing their little dance scene. That was adorable. Please like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to talk about more book stuff. My name's Katelyn. Thanks for watching. Bye.